The morning began without hurry. Light crept slowly across a quiet roadside diner, touching the windows before it reached the parked motorcycles lined up outside. Coffee steamed on tabletops. Chrome reflected the sky. Engines idled low like distant thunder that hadn't decided to speak yet. Laughter moved between the men in leather vests, then faded into silence as if the day itself was listening. And then a sound cut through everything. It wasn't loud at first, just thin, broken, a cry that didn't belong in a morning like this. People turned before they understood why. A small girl ran across the parking lot, her red dress too bright for the gray road beneath her feet. Her boots slipped on the cold pavement, but she didn't slow down. Her hair was tangled, her face streaked with tears and dust, her breath coming in sharp, frightened bursts. She pointed back toward the road, her arm shaking. "Please," she cried, "they're hurting my mama." The engines fell silent. Inside the diner, Forks stopped midair. Outside, a few truckers glanced over their shoulders, unsure. No one stepped forward, no one except one man who pushed his chair back slowly and stood. His name was Jonah Reed. He was big, broad, and carried the kind of weight that made people nervous before he ever spoke. The patch on his vest made strangers look away in grocery stores. He'd learned to live with that. What he hadn't learned was how to ignore a child like this. He knelt in front of her, lowering himself so his shadow wouldn't swallow her whole. His voice, when he spoke, was steady and quiet. "Hey," he said, "where's your mom?" The girl tried to answer, but fear tangled her words. She pointed again, farther this time, toward a narrow road that disappeared into trees and old trailers. "They're hurting her," she whispered. "She told me to run." Jonah stood up. He didn't shout, he didn't look around for permission, he just nodded once and glanced at two men beside him. They understood without a word. Chairs scraped back, helmets were lifted, engines roared to life, sharp and sudden against the still morning. As the bikes tore down the road, dust rose behind them, and the diner was left holding its breath. The girl was guided inside by another biker, a man with tired eyes and gentle hands. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders and sat her by the window. She pressed her palms against the glass, watching the road, counting heartbeats instead of minutes. Down the road, the trailers sat quiet, hidden by trees that had seen too much and said nothing. Jonah cut his engine and listened. A shout, a crash, a woman's cry, thin and desperate. He didn't hesitate. Inside the trailer, the air was heavy with alcohol and fear. A man stood over a woman pressed against the wall, her face bruised, her arms raised in instinct more than defense. A bottle slipped from his hand and shattered as Jonah caught his wrist mid-swing. The sound echoed louder than any punch. There were no speeches, no threats. Just action. The man was pinned to the floor before he could understand what had changed. Jonah's hands shook, not with rage but with control. He turned to the woman and softened his voice. "You're safe now," he said. She nodded, tears falling freely now that she was allowed to stop being strong. Sirens grew in the distance, someone had finally called. When the police arrived, the bikers didn't leave. They stood outside, calm, hands visible. The little girl clung to Jonah's leg when he returned, her small fingers gripping leather like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Her mother, Lena, told the story with a quiet honesty that needed no decoration. An ex who wouldn't let go, a morning that turned dangerous too fast, a child who did the bravest thing she knew how to do. The man was taken away. The road back to the diner felt different, quieter. The sun was higher now, warmer. The girl sat in front of Jonah on his bike, holding a helmet far too big for her, leaning back just enough to feel safe. When they pulled in, people were waiting. No one clapped, no one cheered, they just watched as Jonah lifted the girl down, as Lena stepped carefully behind them, bruised but standing. The diner owner brought blankets, someone poured fresh coffee. The world, it seemed, decided to be gentle for a moment. "I didn't think anyone would come," Lena said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jonah looked at the girl. "She made sure we did," he replied. The bikers removed their jackets one by one, draping them over Lena and her daughter. It wasn't planned, it just happened. Leather and patches that once made people afraid now became shelter. In the days that followed, the story spread, but it changed as it moved. Some said it was courage, some said it was luck. Jonah didn't correct anyone. He returned to the diner on Sundays, the same as always. But something else returned too. Groceries appeared at Lena's door. A small apartment opened up in town. Smiles lingered longer. People who once crossed the street now nodded in passing. Weeks later, on a warm spring morning, the girl ran up to Jonah outside the diner holding a folded piece of paper. She opened it carefully. Crayon motorcycles, a small girl in red, a man kneeling. "This is us," she said. Jonah stared at it longer than he meant to, then he folded it and tucked it inside his vest, close to his heart. "Guess I'll carry this with me," he said. Some people are loud when they're strong. Others are quiet until the moment arrives that asks who they really are. If this story stayed with you, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe for more soulful stories like this. And before you go, comment one word that you felt while listening. Comment the word hope.